I am announcing that the Government of Canada, following a dollar-for-dollar approach, will be imposing, as of 12:01 a.m. tomorrow, March 13th, 2025, 25% reciprocal tariffs on an additional $29.8 billion of imports from the United States. This includes steel products worth $12.6 billion and aluminum products worth $3 billion, as well as additional imported U.S. goods worth $14.2 billion for a total of $29.8 billion. The list of additional products affected by counter tariffs includes computers, sports equipment, and cast iron products as examples. These tariffs are in addition to Canada's 25% counter tariffs on $30 billion of imports from the United States in response to U.S. tariffs put in place on March 4th.
This is going to be a day-to-day fight. This is now the second round of unjustified tariffs leveled against Canada and Canadian goods. The excuse for the first round was exaggerated claims about our border. We addressed all the concerns raised by the U.S., and in return, they agreed to temporarily abide by the free trade agreement President Trump signed himself with Canada. The latest excuse is national security, despite the fact that Canadian steel and aluminum add to America's security, not take away from it. All the while, there is a threat to further and broader tariffs on April 2nd still looming. The excuse for those tariffs shifts every day. The only constant in this unjustified and unjustifiable trade war seems to be President Trump's talks of annexing our country through economic coercion. Yesterday, he called our border a fictional line and repeated his disrespectful 51st state rhetoric. Well, Canadians have made it very clear that we will not back down and we will not give in to this coercion. Canada is not the one driving up the cost of your groceries or of your gasoline or any of your construction. Canada is not the one putting your jobs at risk. Canada is not the one that is ultimately starting this war. President Trump's tariffs against you are causing that. And there are no winners in a trade war.
One job in Canada in the primary aluminum sector support 13 jobs in the United States. That's the ratio 1 to 13. This is how integrated we are when it comes to steel and aluminum in North America. This needs to be more than just a moment. It needs to be a movement to become more resilient in this country, a movement to become more confident in this country, a movement to become more ambitious in this country, and a movement to be more Canadian in this country. There's many ways for us to do that. I've said many times to Canadians, the best way to do that, the biggest power we have is our purchasing power. As my colleague have said, we can start to buy local. We can buy Canadian. Because after all, we're the largest customer to the United States of America. We will diversify our industry, we will diversify our exports, but we can also choose to buy local. That's going to make a difference to the small and medium-sized business across our country.
I'm ready to sit down with President Trump at the appropriate time under a position where there's respect for Canadian sovereignty, and we're working for a common approach, a much more comprehensive approach for trade. We're all going to be better off. Workers here in Canada, which is our concern, workers in America, which is his concern. We are all going to be better off when the greatest economic and security partnership in the world is renewed, relaunched. That's possible. You have a new government, but the same commitment.
We're moving forward with a 25% surcharge on electricity exports. For the 1.5 million American homes and businesses that Ontario powers, homes and businesses in Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. This surcharge will cost families and businesses in these states up to $400,000 each in every single day. On an average, this will add around $100 per month to the bills of hardworking Americans. Let me be clear. I will not hesitate to increase this charge. If necessary, if the United States escalates, I will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely. Believe me when I say I do not want to do this. I feel terrible for the American people because it's not the American people who started this trade war. It's one person who's responsible. That's President Trump. I'd rather be working together. I want to sell the U.S. more energy, more electricity, more critical minerals. I want to make Canada and the United States the richest, most successful, safest, most secure two countries on the planet. But as Premier, my number one job is to protect the people of Ontario and in hand protect the people of Canada. I will do whatever it takes. I will fight like I've never fought before to protect Ontario. Friends, none of this makes sense. Costly tariffs against your closest friends and allies do not make sense. The U.S. markets have lost trillions in value. Companies are second-guessing investments into the American economy. American workers' jobs are at risk as we speak right now. Cost of hardworking American families will only go up. It doesn't have to be this way. We are stronger when we work together.
We had a lengthy and frankly a big meeting. There were many, many people with Secretary Lutnick, Ambassador Greer, senior people from the Trade Representative's Office, from the Commerce Department. It was an opportunity for us to understand in a very concrete way the American process over the next few weeks, President Trump's America First trade policy, and the decisions that Secretary Lutnick and the President and Ambassador Greer will be considering over the next few weeks. Obviously, we reiterated the long-standing position of our government that the tariffs are unjustified, that we think it's much more constructive to build a strong North American economy by working together, by dealing with issues as important as China and other issues that frankly should be dealt with by economic partners working together, not in a context of applying tariffs to one another. So we agreed to maintain the dialogue. I speak to Secretary Lutnick in many cases a number of times a week. We exchange text messages. He seems to be working late at night and early in the morning. And we agreed to continue those conversations.